morning. Good morning. Let's see if everything is working. If you guys can hear me, can see me. Somebody please write as usual. And the months of figuring out the details of the tokenomics are not over. They're much more confusing as it gets, but a number of things get resolved as well. So let me see what's happening here. Yeah, I probably need to promote it as well really quickly. Okay. Checking this out. Okay. Yeah, well, because we typically start later, so I think people just still joining. Okay, let me share the link. Let me share the link. Because the call is happening right now. Where else? Where else? And then let me put this also in builders. Builders. And also in the general group. Okay. All right. I think we're all here. I'll just wait for a couple of people to join because I would like to make the day of today the day of formulas. There are lots of formulas to still figure out. Although the Ghost DAO side, unique to one chain or condensed to one chain, are very much understood now. I wouldn't say 100% understood, but significant portion understood. Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to share definitely more. Would like to share these formulas with a lot more people today. So before I proceed, if you guys, whoever is joining, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. If we don't have that many people, yeah, I would like to then reschedule the formula show from today to next week. So what we are working on at the moment from tokenomics perspective is, so the bridge from technical perspective is looking very good. Then the question is, what are we going to be actually bridging? And what type of incentives do we provide while bridging? Why would people use the bridge? There are multiple options, as always. So the default option at the moment is to bridge Ghost. Right? So you have eGhost tokens, and then you wrap them into sGhost. Sorry, you stake them into sGhost, you then wrap them into Ghost, and then you can bridge Ghost token into Ghost coin on the Ghost chain. And then you bridge out the Ghost coin and into the Ghost token. So that's option one. That's the default option. That option has lots of nuances, lots of variations within itself. For example, if we are just considering that one Ghost on Ethereum is the same thing as one Ghost on Avalanche, although the prices may be different and indices may be different, then we may run a risk of all blockchains tending to go from lower capitalized chains to high capitalized chains. So low TVL chains will tend to go to high TVL chains. And if that's the case, there's not much bridging that may take place, right? So users will just take advantage of the arbitrage. A quick example: you have Ghost on Ethereum at $1,000, then you have Ghost on Avalanche at $100. So users will tend to just bridge from from Avalanche to Ethereum from $100 to $1,000, and then all the liquidity will just flood from Avalanche and into Ethereum, right? So, but then we need to make sure that the bridge is two sided, right? We need to make sure that kind of you're also fine to go from $1,000 on Ethereum to $100 on Avalanche, but then you also prioritize chains that have been launched earlier because the indices make the prices higher, right? So the earlier you launch the chain, the higher will the price be of Ghost on that specific chain. Then the question is what to do, how to deal with it. So there's a solution to that specific situation where you're not necessarily moving you moving Ghost, but you're not moving Ghost per se. You're not moving Ghost token. Like if you have two tokens, it's not that you're gonna move two tokens. Like if you're gonna bridge two tokens from Ethereum, you will not necessarily get two tokens on Avalanche. You may get some type of conversion depending on the exchange rate. And that exchange rate depends on the prices and also indices. In which case, it may happen in such a way that 2 Ghost on Ethereum may be bridged to 10 Ghost on Avalanche, for example. And then the question is, what's the formulaic approach to that? And like, does it create the arbitrage needed to incentivize users to bridge? Right. So the fundamental question then is, do we bridge value like 10,000 DAI for 10,000 DAI, or we actually just bridging Ghost? Like we want to, you bridge 10,000 DAI, and then you may either get 5,000 DAI or you may get 15,000 DAI. So which one are we kind of favoring as our solution, fundamental kind of purpose and design? And of course, there has been some ideas that, well, I mean, I personally more on the side of if you're bridging 10,000, you should get like 10,000 within percentage points, right? So again, it could be 10,000 to 5,000, 10,000 to 15,000. So that's the question that we're thinking about. So let me see. Maybe is that maybe I'm the one who have issues with YouTube. 1 second, let me see. Maybe there are more people. Still few people watching. Okay, that's cool. So I think let's just wait for like another 5 minutes. If not that many people join today's call, we may need to cut it short and then just reschedule it for next Saturday, because I really would like to cover the formulas, just to give you guys an idea what you're getting yourself into with the Ghost DAO and like what needs to be studied. I'm sharing the screen at the moment with Excel. So we have 2 sources on top. Those are, as I mentioned before, there may be like 3 articles that are worth reading on the Olympus DAO that explains Olympus DAO in depth. There are lots of surface articles, lots of surface videos that explain Olympus DAO. So you have to, kind of take your time and study that stuff. Like the surface level for sure. The difficult level is obviously more difficult. So therefore, the first source that is being shared, which is keonehd.medium.com, that one is pretty much in depth. A lot of stuff has been borrowed from this article regarding understanding how the bonds are being set. And because of like that's just a great article to watch. And the second source is it's norswap.com/Olympus. That's, I think, kind of like formulas and explain the formulas. By the way, both sources have errors and mistakes, but very tiny, but still have. So kind of like studying that stuff, that because that will help you understand the formulas better. J&J asking, is anybody else cutting in and out? Yeah, chances are you guys experiencing in and outs. Most likely you are. The jurisdiction where the stream is coming from at the moment is having certain restrictions on YouTube. So So yeah, so the best thing is just to refresh it, and if it doesn't get better, maybe we just do it next week because next week the stream shall come from a better source. Okay, waiting for 4 more minutes. If I don't see like 4, 5, 6 people watching, we'll probably just cut it short because it's very, very important to go over this topic of formulas. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I also refreshed. Like it's not you. It's on our side for sure. Definitely on our side. If it just gets glitchy, just restart it. Okay. It's just interesting what governments are trying to do to get more and more regionalized. Um, they are they're trying to um, divide and conquer, um, and that's I guess I mean it's questionable whether in the recent many decades humanity at large experienced any progress whatsoever. We have maybe in the medical field to some extent, but then the insurance has made it, very difficult to experience those advancements in medical science. But other than this, obviously, we should be probably landing on Jupiter and Mars, and we're not. We just have those smartphones that waste our time with some crap. So it's questionable whether the humanity is really going towards advancements in technology. However, even that little progress will likely be more and more, shut down given the regionalization of local powers, right? We'll probably have something in Europe, we'll have something in Latin America, we'll have something in Asia, we'll have something in the Middle East, Africa may potentially, have its own thing. So it's quite interesting. JJ, interesting that the article mentions Zcash Monero, but not the mother of them all, BTC. That's precisely because BTC is known currently, quote, quote, to be completely traceable. That's complete BS. Of course, Satoshi created Bitcoin as an anonymous coin. Um, there's no native Bitcoin explorer, by the way. Like you won't be able to find it. That's by design. So all the Bitcoin explorers you have are, I think the most known one is blockchain.com/explorer, but that's not a native one. And then Monero just like essentially created an even better privacy feature. Hence, Bitcoin is not known to be that. Yeah, how much resources are you going to spend to trace it? That's another question. So things are possible in practice. Similarly, Bitcoin in theory could be, attacked with 51% attack, but in practicality, it's extremely difficult. I agree with you. Okay. Well, I think it's only J&J. So I apologize. We'll probably cut it short. Not sure what happened. Maybe we didn't advertise it properly. Or maybe people just have whatever weekend stuff. So let's end it now. I wanted to go over the formulas of Ghost Dial like in detail, like actually cover them up, like start covering them up. So I think let's cut it short now and just resume next week. Yeah, because I want to get a lot more. Actually, okay, let's wait for like two more minutes because I would like to cover them today. Obviously, if you have like 6 people watching, then I'll start covering the formulas so you guys understand better the monetary policy of Ghost DAO that will be set by the DAO of Ghost DAO, right? That's why it's called DAO, Ghost DAO, um, which is separate from the council members. Um, okay, so while we're waiting for 2 more minutes, right? So like the initial terms that we need to cover, anyways, the terminology that has to come very handy to us is uh, shown on the left. So on the left side, we have those terms of RFV, RRFV, and LPRFV. Those are very confusing at first, but they get better. Hi Wanchin. Ask when the mainnet is coming. You had some followers, by the way, on Twitter. 2 guys were asking when the mainnet is coming too. I think it was either you under those 2 additional Twitter accounts, or was just new, 2 new people. Obviously, it's 2 new people, but so then we have MV, RMV, and LPMV. So all these like sounds super confusing. This source is the one that introduced these concepts, and we kind of bored them because they were kind of very interesting. And this article defined these terms wrongfully, specifically MV term wrongfully. So let's kind of go over it. So RFV, that's a risk-free value. So RFV, that's a risk-free value of the entire treasury, right? So of the Ghost DAO. So essentially, our goal is to try to understand what is the fundamental value of assets backing up eGhost on the Ghost DAO of a given chain. And RFV will be that specific metric. So RFV will show, in our case, RFV right now is 400 or 500,000 DAI, right? That's like the measurement. Now, RFV consists of two things. It consists of RRFV and LPRFV. So what's that? RRFV, that's reserves RFV. So let's just DAI. And if you noticed, the current treasury was mostly fed by DAI bonds. Bonds denominated in DAI. So you have two types of bonds. Bonds denominated in DAI and bonds denominated in LP shares. So those that are in DAI, essentially users pay DAI to the treasury and get eGhost at a discount. Thus they feed the treasury and thus they increase the fundamental value. And this RRFV situation is showcasing the reserves, the stable coins that are back in the treasury. Now, LPRFV, on the other hand, that is the fundamental value of the LP tokens. LP tokens are the liquidity pair tokens on the DEX. And those will appear in the treasury once we introduce the LP bonds next week. Next week we will start for sure. So before the next Saturday, you will have it. Now, so that's what Olympus DAO was known for. So they essentially RFV is just RRFV plus LPRFV. So that's boom. That's the first equation. Second equation is market value. So RFV, and I'll show you, I wanted to show you today, but we'll probably show it next week, how RFV is significantly discounted. It's significantly unfairly discounted. And a much more fair value of all the resources of the treasury is actually defined by the market value of these of the backers, like of the backing assets. Now, similarly, the market value also consists of reserves market value and LP market value. So the formula is MV is equal to RMV plus LPMV. Similar, right? So MV is just the sum of these two. RFV is the sum of these two. Now, the market value of reserves, which is stablecoins, and the risk-free value of reserves, RRFV, is the same thing. Because, like there's no discount. Like if it's one DAI in both cases will just be one DAI. But the difference is the LP valuation. So LP RFV, I'll show you how Olympus discounts it significantly, and we should not necessarily be discounting it. We should be multiplying it, and then when we do the formulas, we'll see what LP RFV needs to be multiplied by in order to get to LPMV. So the formulas still look very confusing, but a lot more elegant once you cancel out the terms and actually derive it all. So, and that's literally the conversation. The conversation is, okay, so Olympus has RFV, but we should create our own MV and also demo this and showcase that on the user interfaces to make sure that everybody kind of everybody understands the fundamental value. So the argument is, I would argue that the fundamental, how much difference does this make? So currently, our RFV is almost $400,000. So $400,000 worth of DAI is backing up the assets of the treasury. However, the market value of that, of the assets that we have in the treasury currently, is $1 million, 1.1 million, which is like almost 3x. And that's a huge difference. And yes, compared to the market capitalization of about 12 million, 1 million still sound too low. However, it's kind of the ratio that we're looking at. It's either market cap of 12 million to the RRFV of 400,000. That's one ratio. Versus market cap of 12 million versus market value of 1.1 million, which is like the difference, kind of the ratio here is roughly 1 to 10, which is not that bad. So, and then the question that you as users will be asking yourselves is, am I comfortable buying more eGhost when the market value to the market cap is 1 to 10? Like, what's the optimal ratio that I need to get in? So, like, of course, if this ratio is like 1,000, maybe eGhost is overbought and maybe I shouldn't buy it. Maybe I should actually sell it. However, if the ratio is, like, the same 10 or 5, maybe this ratio is good enough to to invest, because now that's fundamentally back. Not only that, but there's another value that we're working on. It's called NV Prime. So NV Prime will also incorporate the DEX fees. And the DEX fees represent the revenue, another source of revenue comprised of DEX fees that the treasury receives. However, just like any business, those DEX fees are presenting more or less consistent revenue stream. Therefore, they should be also potentially valued like Wall Street is valuing companies, right? So you should prorata how much the DEX fees have been generated so far, and then extend it to, say, a year, say 5 years, and discount it using some type of interest rate. And then you will get it's called DCF analysis, discounted cash flow model, right? Discounted cash flow analysis of how much those DEX fees are worth. Because you should potentially be pricing those DEX fees not just as a snapshot of today, but also going forward. So, and that is going to be NV Prime. So, kind of the innovation of calculating value compared to Olympus is separating ourselves from just RRFE calculations and extending it to NV calculation and also NV Prime calculation, which may result in something quite large. So let's pause here. Like, we don't have that many people watching. Like, it's a very important topic for us to cover, and we'll be presenting more and more data and more formulas, like in the documents coming soon. We'll start doing this actually tomorrow. There's still a lot of things to figure out. When I say there are a lot of things to figure out, mostly there are little details, but the devil is in the details. So high level technology-wise, we have it now. The tokenomics is striking up as we're getting more and more feedback from you guys participating with the Ghost DAO. So let's pause here. I know it's been a little bit shorter than usual, but let's wait for more people, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for those who attended.